If you want to know where Jesus is when you are in the storm, he's with you. He's in your boat. See, we become so terrified at times in our lives. We become so scared, and we ask the same question of God. God, where are you? Do you even care what's happened to me right now? Do you see what we're going through? Do you see what's on the horizon? Do you see the catastrophes that I'm sure are coming my way? God, do you see all this? Do you even care if we drown? And we have forgotten that Jesus is in our boat. See, what God wants you to understand is that when he is with you, you are not limited by your strength. You're only limited by his, and there is no limit to his. What he is calling us into is to increase our capacity to handle life, to be the city that can withstand any threat from the outside, not because we're so strong, but because he is within us. It's his strength, it's his power. And when we know he's there, we can handle anything that life throws at us. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that we're immune in the sense that there's never tears. It doesn't mean that we don't feel the pain. What it means is that our hope for what is to come is greater than the fear that we have for what is now. That the heaven that we're looking forward to, the future that we have of who he's created us to be is greater than anything that we have to fear in this life. And God says, you will remember that when you know that I am with you. You don't have to be afraid. See, really, this is just the beginning of what God wants to do in you. See, what God wants is to increase your capacity to handle life so that when you begin to live out of his strength and not just your own, it changes you. You become something more than you could ever be on your own. You can do things in the world that the world cannot begin to imagine. You can wade into the nightmare that we're seeing around us in some ways. The bitterness and the vitriol, the anger, the fighting, you can wade into that. And instead of joining in the fight, you can love without fear. You can create peace wherever you go. You can forgive instead of condemning. When God is the one living within you and you are aware of his presence, that it is his capacity, not your own, that limits you. You can discover within yourself the strength to show compassion instead of callousness, to show generosity instead of withholding from others. You can ask for forgiveness instead of being dependent or defensive. Right? You can wade into that place with a joy and a confidence of who God is, his presence with you. It's a peace and a joy that the world is so desperate for right now. They are longing. If you walk into the world and you show them that God is real, because look at what he's done in your life, they will notice. It's just too stark of a contrast for where we are today. What an opportunity. See, the question is, do you know God's presence in your life? See, have you given your life to Jesus? See, when you give your life to Jesus, then you are allowing him access into your life where his life begins in you. And see, I think that God is greedy like this. God, he doesn't just settle for pieces of us. He wants all of us. And see, sometimes I think we struggle to experience his presence because there are parts of us that we are still trying to hold him away from. There's parts of us that we want to hold for ourselves and keep him at arm's length that we're trying to hide from him. And then we say, God, where are you? And he says, you haven't let me in. You haven't let me in. See, when we give our lives to Jesus, all of us, right, as we continue to submit our lives to him, he fills us more and more with the life that only he can give. Do you know that kind of life? Have you given your life to Jesus? What are you holding back?